telephone company. He lived in Aubervilliers near Paris. He then went to Belgium to find work, and then he lived in Cologne, Germany, Vienna, Austria, and again back to Cologne, and finally Brussels, where he said he slept in a public park near Brussels Midi railway station, but he has given no details regarding the dates of these stays. He was reported to the anti-terror units of the French police in 2014 by the Spanish authorities because he attended a radical mosque, and he also there are records that he made jihadist, pro-jihadist statements. He worked in a mobile telephone company in France near Paris in Seine-Saint-Denis. The French intelligence services found traces of a promise to hire him by that company, promises made by the telephone company to hire him, but he only worked there for 2 months at the beginning of 2014. Given the information provided by the Spanish authorities, the French intelligence services have taken all the precautions. They issued an S-file, and then it was sent to the Schengen records to share this information with all European countries involved in the Schengen area. An S-file is not a judicial file, which allows it simply enables to draw attention to an individual and to make sure that that individual is followed and his movements are monitored. Ayoub El-Kazani was not, there are no records of having attracted the attention of the of the police or of the Criminal Investigation Department. It's on the basis of this French S-file that his name appears in the list of passengers in a flight to Istanbul in 2015, and very recently we heard that information provided by other European police forces. He returned to Europe in June 2015. He flew via Istanbul and Antakya in Albania. Ayoub El-Kazani denied visiting Turkey, but investigations carried out in Belgium, notably the search of his sister's home in Brussels, the search was carried out by the Belgian police yesterday, has established that the accused recently had spent time in his sister's home in Brussels, whereas during the interrogation he denied having ever lived with his sister in Brussels. In addition, Ayoub El-Kazani had reserved a first-class ticket costing 149 euros paid cash, and he refused to take another train. The ticket seller had suggested that he could take another earlier train because there were seats available. So Ayoub El-Kazani said during the interrogation that he had found the weapons in a park on the eve of his departure from Brussels, a suitcase with a telephone, guns and ammunition. He then said that he bought a train ticket for Paris, which he paid in cash. He got rid of his personal effects in a rubbish bin in a park. He claims that he had no intention to commit a terrorist act, but he wanted to get money from the passengers using his weapons as a threat. We do not believe this, and we know that he broke a train window in order to try and escape. His answers became more and more evasive as the questions of the investigators became more and more precise. He pretexted that he couldn't remember. He then refused to answer questions, and yesterday he decided to avail himself of his right to silence. So, at the end of the custody, and given the state of investigations, we can say today say that an individual called Ayoub el-Kazani, who is known to belong to a radical movement, who recently visited Turkey or even possibly Syria. Secondly, the possession of heavy weapons with a large quantity of ammunition, which could have killed or injured a large number of people. Thirdly, his explanations are not very credible regarding how he obtained the weapons and how he lived and the source of the money that he had to buy a first-class ticket costing 149 euros. Fourthly, the fact that on the Thalys, he looked at a YouTube video which called for violent action in the name of radical Islamism. Fifth point, his project seemed premeditated. He refused to take the earlier train on which there were seats available. Sixth point, given all the evidence collected, he showed great determination. All the witnesses said that he seemed determined. He used all the weapons in his possession, the rifle, the cutter, the pistol, during the fight with the passengers. So I have decided to initiate a judicial investigation. He is accused of acting with terrorist purposes, attempts to assassinate people, and aiming at all the people who were within the range of his weapons on the train, holding weapons, transporting weapons and ammunitions of category A and B linked with a terrorist action, participation in a terrorist action. So the public prosecutor has asked that he should be remanded in custody. The investigations will continue under the authority of the investigating magistrates appointed by the prosecutors in Paris. We need to clarify the origins of the weapons, his movements, the accomplices who have helped him, and his sources of financing. Finally, I would like to emphasize that this attack follows the attacks in Paris in January, another attack in April 2015, and an attack in June, showing that the terrorist threat in France is very real. The French intelligence services are monitoring 1,080 individuals, and the justice system, we have 87 investigations underway involving 517 individuals who are concerned. 209 people have already been indicted, and 125 are still in custody.